Bat Force Radio.
Bat Force Radio is rated M for mature, or should that be immature?
Hey guys, Dustin Nguyen.
Hey, this is Scott Snyder.
This is Paul Dini.
And you're listening to Bat Force Radio.
And you're listening to Bat Force Radio.
You're listening to Bat Force Radio.
This is Tom King. I write Batman Bitch, and this is Bat Force Radio.
All right, welcome back to Bat Force Radio, the Batman/DC podcast with no limits, with another classic review tonight. In the panel, I got Teases from Jersey.
Don't be an asshole. We're the mess.
I got Grandpa Batman over in Texas.
Amadeus.
That's what I was going to say.
Bat Force Tom over in sunny California.
Zip it up or zip it down.
And I got Robin Cross up in Canada.
Yeah, I got nothing.
Man, this is an episode I've been looking forward to. This is an overdue review episode. I've been meaning to do this for a while. Tonight we are reviewing the classic Arkham Asylum by Grant Morrison and Dave McKean. And this is one that I feel this book is, I don't know. We were talking about it earlier, and I think it's partially underrated because it like Robin said earlier, it does make a lot of top 10 lists when people do lists that know their comic stuff. And back in 1989 when this book came out, this graphic novel, and when I say graphic, it's like a graphic novel by definition due to the artwork and storytelling.
Yeah, not just a graphic novel in the sense of hipsters that don't want to say they read comics, so they say they read graphic novels.
Yeah, this is...
Fuck them.
Like,
Fuck 'em.
When you think of the word graphic and you think of the word novel, I feel like those two words sum it up best for this book. In 1989 it came out. It seemed as though Grant Morrison wanted to establish a history for Arkham Asylum and further explore that along with Batman's psyche and a character study of Batman. He recruited Dave for the artwork, but it isn't. If I remember correctly, it didn't sound like an easy task. This guy is a really interesting painterly illustrator artist.
Yeah, he had done the cover art for all the Sandman issues for Neil Gaiman, and he's done a lot of album covers for like Paradise Lost, Dream Theater, Skinny Puppy, stuff like that.
Yeah, I mean, the artwork is very painterly and surreal and beautiful and has a lot of motion in it. And there was interesting little factoid is that Dave would not do the book unless Robin was not in it. He didn't want Robin in it, so Robin was not in this book.
Joker makes fun of him.
Yeah, and it's a great book. It's all right. So there's two stories that are parallel in this book. There's Batman going through Arkham Asylum and also us going through the journals of Amadeus Arkham and how Arkham came to be. Amadeus! It starts off with a flashback of Amadeus Arkham in his home tending to his mentally ill mother. And already we see the surrealism in it when he's bringing her food. Cockroaches start falling from her mouth.
They were actually beetles because Amadeus goes on to reference how he would learn later that beetles represented rebirth.
What's crazy about this book, it's almost like Morrison intended this book, to include all these references to all the, religions and all the philosophies that he's, subscribes to. He uses metaphors like the Beatles and, the architecture of Arkham Asylum and even, certain references throughout the book for all this crazy shit he's into.
Yeah.
And drugs.
And I was about to say, don't forget the psychedelic drugs.
Yeah. There's even a point.
So much of the story really heavily influenced the Arkham Asylum video game, from the obvious things like the asylum being taken over to even these sections where it's Amadeus Arkham telling his the history of creating the asylum. As you play Arkham Asylum, you can find all of those Chronicles of Arkham tabs, and you get those recordings with them that are recorded by the quote spirit of Amadeus Arkham. So you hear it's a very similar history of the beginning of the asylum to what you read in here.
Yeah, the video game took a lot from this story. Yeah, actually,
tons.
Which is,
the video game.
I guess Gordon calls in Batman, and he's talking about the Joker has hostages, and I always thought I did look over this years ago because I always thought it was interesting how the Dark Knight movie took a reference from this story in terms of the pencil and the Joker. Yeah, with the Joker using the pencil as a deadly weapon and whatnot. Mm-hmm. So I thought that was really interesting. But
I love especially this page right here. But I love the art style that what's his name, McKean.
Yeah,
Dave McKean. He uses painting. It looks like oil painting in the background, but on this page it's almost like unfinished sketch work.
Yeah, pencils
for the panels with Gordon and Batman.
Yeah.
What a fucking bum. Finish your work.
Yeah, it's like things. It's like things don't get to that surreal looking painted quality until we get to the asylum.
Yeah.
Until shit gets crazy.
There. I love that old phone with the speaker. And,
almost like this is the real world.
Yeah.
And obviously Batman has to go to the asylum because Joker has hostages. And he thinks that he just killed that girl Pearl, residency artist with the pencils.
Oh yeah, in the eye. That's what we were talking about.
Yeah.
This is interesting when he's talking about Gordon mentions of him possibly being afraid, and he says, "Afraid? Batman's not afraid of anything. It's me. I'm afraid." Meaning, underneath the mask, he's afraid that the Joker might be right about his psyche, the rationality of his actions, as he puts it. So.
Yeah, and that's an interesting thing because Grant Morrison wrote this story sort of in response to the way Batman had been characterized in comics through the 80s. He saw him as being characterized as really violent and borderline psychopathic himself. And this was written as partially a commentary or response to that. And then also the asylum side of it was his interest in that was based on reading, I think it might have been Len Wein's writing on Arkham Asylum in the DC Who's Who series.
Right. Amadeus is returning to his home.
In the 20s.
Yeah, right after his mother's funeral. So he was returning home.
The old bitch.
And he gives a story about how she died. And he says she opened her own throat with a pearl-handled razor.
Oh, the motherfucker.
Yeah. And that plays out later on in the story, but...
Oh, you just made a connection that I didn't even make when I read it, which is very Pinteresting, Gramps, because that key detail plays out in the story amongst an individual that has no contact or knowledge of that story. Which plays into like the psychological haunting of the place.
And exactly. And I like when he opens that door. Like if you look at that image in the middle of the page where he's opened the door coming in, who does he look like right there?
Mr.
His hair's all going crazy. Yeah, he looks like Joker.
And he's walking into a mouth, like it's that the ghost of the asylum, it's like
oh fuck. I'm glad we do this.
Believe. And we cut over to when he started counseling Martin Hawkins or Mad Dog Hawkins, and Hawkins is telling him how he would just slice the faces and the sexual organs of his victims, just to feel something. Very Zeus.
Very Zazzish.
Yeah. Yeah, very Zazzish.
I got a. You guys ever watch that show? What's it called? Fuck, it's really good. It's called Mindhunter.
Oh, yeah, I think I watched that. Was that the? Is that the one that the first? Was it the first season was about the Unabomber?
No, that's a different one. Fuck, that one's like Manhunter.
Manhunter, yeah.
Wow, right. That close? Yeah. So there's Mindhunter and Manhunter. I think Mindhunter is about the birth of the FBI division that tracks serial killers, like the birth of it. And do you guys ever heard of Ed Kemper?
Yep.
There's those online interviews with him where he's like sitting talking to FBI investigators, like so calmly describing what he did in his crimes. It reminds me very similar of how chilling and cold he's just sitting there. Ed Kemper is like 6'6", like 300 pounds, and he's just like, yes, I took the head of my mother and I carved a hole underneath. It's like, holy fuck, dude.
Yeah, like he's talking about picking up the groceries.
Like this image of this dude just sitting in the middle of a room, and like he's like almost got a smile on his face, and it's just black and white with grays and blues, and it's just super fucking cold looking, where this guy's just telling you about the crazy shit that he's doing. And then the next page, it shows Arkham like with his fucking wife and kid. Like he goes from one world where he's hearing about this shit, and then it goes to the next world where it's all bright and nice and beautiful, like just right in the next panel over.
Yeah,
jumping back and forth.
Yeah, with his wife and kid. Was it Constance and Harriet? And then about his dreaming and his surreal life.
And this page right here where he talks about, I had a dream, I'm a child again, I'm lost in the fun house basically in a house of mirrors, and there's strangers in the mirrors, and then it cuts to the tunnel of love. I mean, that right there is like directly referencing Dark Knight Returns.
Yeah.
And that's only a few years. This came in only a few years after Dark Knight Returns.
Yeah, I mean he's giving little nods to
little dude
that, and he gives little nods to other stories throughout the book, which is really cool.
Hey,
I can tell that gets Gramps' juices flowing.
Hey, Gramps, like your platinum hit record states, you got to give a little due to get a little due.
That's right. And don't forget White-Eyed Batman.
That's always my favorite.
So
I don't think any of them has as many downloads as the intro, though.
No, can't compete.
So we got Batman entering the asylum, which is an amazing image.
Now, you say you have the absolute version of this. I can't imagine how awesome that looks in that.
Oh, it's gorgeous. I mean, once you with the page with the next page with the Joker's face in this format is just so striking. It still holds up better than most stuff today, and there's a lot of good stuff out today. So just
when did that come out?
What, the Arkham Asylum?
The Absolute.
Oh, the
Absolute
version. In less than a year ago, came out.
2019.
Yeah, last year.
What?
Yeah.
How did I miss?
Yeah, dude. Oh, hey, yeah, that kind of gives a little tease.
There you go, Grumps or Gramps. What are you gonna do right now?
Oh yeah.
I'm gonna buy it.
Oh, we got a live purchase. Ding, ding, ding.
Live. I'm
Where are you
going
going?
on in stock trades.
Oh shit.
Not affiliated.
Yet.
It's only
we
$43.50.
Oh man, Gramps gonna spend Gramps gonna drop some of those Trump bucks on that bad boy.
Let me log into my account. Woo! I love the lettering in this book.
Yeah, that's a good point that I forgot to make. Was I love how the letterer, which I should give credit to,
Gaspar Saladino.
Yeah, how the font he uses for when Joker talks is perfect.
Salad Bardino?
Yes.
But it's funny. For as good as the lettering does look in here and how well it fits the art style and the story, I have heard people say that they had such a hard time reading it that they had to go to the back pages of their copy and read the script.
Oh, it's not that hard, man. Just
fuck them.
It's not.
Fuck them.
Well, get the absolute. The print will be bigger, and that's just the truth, though. Maybe they're right, actually.
Not affiliated with Bad Force Radio anymore.
So the Joker's face right here is just. I think he used a mask or sculpture to paint different angles the way that looks, but that's just so iconic. And if you notice,
that's phone wallpaper worthy.
And if you notice, like his hair goes into the next panel where it's tree branches behind Batman. See?
Interesting.
Oh, nice.
Yeah.
About this artist in any sense, like, is this guy? Is this guy known for anything? I know you were talking about like his comic book stuff, but is he known for anything outside of comics?
No, he's down low, man. He's like Mazzucchelli, like, you know, a couple and done. You know, he's kind of under the radar. I mean, he did make a big name for himself with the Sandman covers as well, but he seems like a guy who only accepts specific projects, and it sounded like Grant had a lot of convincing to do to get him to do this book.
Really?
But
they actually he had actually gone to I want to say it was a couple years before this book came out. He had gone to New York to meet with DC and Marvel, and I think also Neil Adams' Continuity Comics.
Wow.
And like shopping his work around, and that was where he met Neil Gaiman. They had done something else before this, and then I think this was like the second or third thing they worked on together.
So Batman enters the asylum and he sees Pearl. So Joker was bluffing about killing her with the pencil.
So before he enters, as he's walking, you know, we see that background image where he's like looking at his fingers with like a white powder. And as he's entering, you know, asylum, all this white powder is going around him. And I don't know. It leads into the story, but it's pretty fascinating. You know, there's another reference that Grant Morrison is using with, you know, the occult and all the little superstitions and magic and all the stuff he's into.
Well, he as in that panel where he's looking at his finger, he does state that it's salt, and that comes up later. Like you said.
Yeah. I like and he smacks him in the ass and says, "Loosen up, tight ass." To Batman. Batman's like, "Take your filthy hands off me."
So, little backstory. This book was one of the first Batman stories I read. And I was a 13-year-old kid reading this going, what the hell am I reading? It's almost like I knew I wasn't old enough to understand everything that was going on in this book. But when I saw that panel, I was just like, holy shit, I've got something that I'm not supposed to be reading.
And these were the days when Gramps was this is when Gramps was mowing lawns to buy those books, remember? And then a scientist decides to put him in a virtual reality simulator, and Gramps became the lawnmower man. You know.
Oh.
Young Gramps was reading this saying, "Oh, my parents would not want me to be reading a book where Batman gets slapped on the ass."
This is like when you get your first little titty magazine and you're like hiding it in the closet.
That's when they used to call them titty magazines. That's when we used to have magazines.
Those are the days before the internet. Had to be very careful. You didn't rip the pages when they stick together.
I remember one time as a kid, we took a family vacation to California, out there where those heathens live, and they made fun of how the way I talked, but we were visiting some family, and I found a stash of titty magazines back in the back bedroom that my cousin, she was older, her husband had, and I opened them up, and I was just sitting there looking at them. Well, my cousin walked in and busted me, and she was just like, okay, you found them. Like, yeah.
Walked in.
That's kind of the same feeling when I saw this panel. I was like, whoa.
Maximum.
She walked in and caught you sitting there with half a pack of Rolaids in your pocket.
Maximum.
That's when I knew I wanted to live in California, because they didn't care if you looked at little titty magazines.
Maximum curiosity, I see, Mr. Pants.
I also want to jump in also, like that one scene where Batman's actually walking into Arkham Asylum. It's kind of like a mirror image to the panel before when Amadeus is walking in for the first time. When he starts to enter the madness. So, they've kind of repeated this panel again in the perspective of Bruce right before he's about to enter, what's waiting for him at Arkham. So,
when Arkham, when Amadeus walks in, the tree is full of life and it's green, but then when Batman enters, it's dead and withered, and
Yeah, I like the little flash forward going on. It's like condemned,
And even
almost.
it's even on the same side of the page.
Yeah, it's like haunted and
Right.
condemned and dark and.
It's kind of like a family. It's kind of like a family curse, you know. Like he's reliving it. Or not that Amadeus had that in the beginning, but you know, it's the same parallel.
Yeah.
Well, why don't you just give it all away then?
So we enter one of the main rooms where there's just a ton of inmates kind of going crazy. It almost looks like a like a food hall, mess hall, or a place where people congregate for meetings or whatever. And just a lot of people. There's a lot of symbolism, as we could see. Tons.
Where
of
is
symbolism.
oh God, this is so fucking such a specific question. Where is that artist from?
England.
English. Yeah.
Interesting. Because this specific image, you guys are gonna hate me for bringing this up. There's it's like French New Orleans-ish architecture, like Creole architecture, like in the South, where they have these big like Southern mansions, and you like have these like walkways that look out onto like a dining hall. This reminds me of like looking out into a dining hall on top of a balcony in one of those like Creole mansions, which by the way is also like the image that you get when you're in the Haunted Mansion in Disneyland and you're going up and you look down.
Exactly.
That's what it reminded me of, just like looking down and watching this fucking crazy ass like party, you know, all these people hanging off chandeliers and shit.
I love that sky, that blue that he uses in the moon outside that window. I don't know, something about that catches my eye. You know, we have a couple of employees there. I don't know if they're counselors or what, and they're pretty much talking about. One was talking about the therapy that they offered Harvey in terms of the game of chance and how they gave him, what was it, a six-sided die or something, or
Yeah.
So
they expanded his choice options because, you know, with the coin he only has two choices. So part of the therapy was expanding his choices and then trying to develop, you know, him having free will. And he couldn't make a decision, so he just shits himself because it takes too long for him to decide do I need the bathroom or whatever.
Because they had graduated him up first to a die, and then when he was doing well with that, they got him up to a deck of cards. So now he has to go through a deck of cards to decide if he goes to the bathroom or not.
Which that comes up later on as well, the deck of cards. So
I love how every page. This is a book that you really have to study every page because every page has little details that add to the story, but if you don't, you'll miss something. Yeah. And that, you know, even the deck of cards, the card that, you know, Harvey he picks up, it's the Lovers. So even that relates into the story.
Yeah. And
agreed. Every little piece is just a very just exquisite piece of art. You know, like it looks like, it just reminds me of like Salvador Dali, and it just takes you to this real trippy environment, and like I said, the colors and all the mixed media. Just there's no rules to this book, you know, and I think that's what really separates this.
Quick Salvador Dali story. When Lorraine Bracco, the Karen from Goodfellas, was like in her early 20s and just starting to get into
fucking
acting.
Chantix.
Yeah, she met Salvador Dali, and Dali was already super fucking famous at this point, but I guess she was like really hot in her 20s, so he kept trying to get her to agree to him painting her nude, and she like kept saying no, but he like kept trying to do it. And she just like wouldn't let him do it, and so finally he just like gave up. But she talks about how she's so proud of herself that like she never let Salvador Dali like paint her nude.
What
I would have let him paint me nude. What the fuck?
It's fucking
Salvador Dali, bro. Melting clocks and shit.
Not like he'd paint her anatomically correct. He'd make like one eye way up here and one boob way down here.
He'd probably make her boobs
50-foot long legs.
He probably draws women the way I used to draw women when I was like 5.
I mean, everyone thinks he's great and all. I guess he's good, but I've seen 12, 2-year-olds do better.
He probably draw her like the Dali's distortion would be more accurate than Rob Liefeld's good anatomy. actually.
Oh.
I guess he's good. That's fucking great. Fuck him.
I actually have a completely unrelated, but to Dali, I have a Salvador Dali clock. So it's a melting clock, like from Persistence of Time.
Sick.
So it's actually meant to hang over like the edge of a mantle or a shelf or something.
That's dope.
It dangles right over, and the hands have to move like around that bend.
What?
Yo, what the fuck, man? I mean,
That's some scary shit, man.
yeah, I ain't fucking with that, man.
Better not dip that in water.
But yeah, Bats is talking to one of the workers, and he's talking about how the treatment they gave Harvey Dent to make a simple decision like going to the bathroom without consulting the cards seems to have effectively destroyed his personality, which is kind of true as well. So Bats picking the brain back with these therapists and psychiatrists or whatever they are.
And it's like these psychiatrists, they start playing a game with him and like analyzing him while he's in there too, and he's like, you guys are fucking with me.
She brings up the folklore of Arkham Asylum and the ghosts and the secret doors and all that, and it's like he's just Grant doesn't waste any time in exploring or extending the backgrounds of these characters and this place and the history, like really taking a deep dive into their psyche. I think prior to this book and like in the 80s, and I don't think nobody was really doing that. I think Grant had this vision, and then it just stuck this more dark, more psychological tone in the Batman mythos. So I think this book is even though we're going through it now, I think this book is really ahead of its time, to be honest with you. So
this would definitely be their DC Black Label of their time,
Yeah, the original Black Label.
Yeah, one of the people responsible for this was Karen Berger, who was
she's awesome.
big at Vertigo.
Yeah, she was like a rock star.
Yeah.
What a name, Karen Berger. How can you not be?
She pulls out some, what do they call Rorschachs? What do you call those?
Rorschach.
Yeah. I see.
Anyone pick up that Joker calls her Dr. Ruth? Her real name's Ruth.
Isn't Dr. Ruth like a
sex doctor?
Sex therapist? Yeah.
Yeah. Oh, dude, so he's being just super inappropriate because did he already make the comment about, or is it here? I think it's later. He makes the comment about Robin in like short shorts and skinny legs.
And then he started shaving it.
Yeah, he asked that, and then he making a sexual comment to her, and then he fucking grabs Batman's ass on the way in.
Yeah. This is a very saucy Joker.
Move that ass.
Yeah, and he's just toying with him, kind of moving forward. I think then 2 pages forward, we cut back to another flashback of Amadeus Arkham. Starting to be more delusional. Is this
not to go back too much, but I gotta highlight that specific panel where he's showing Batman the Rorschach tests and his hand going over the card. You see the super detail of his fingertips and his fingernails.
So great, yeah.
And it's fucking gross. Like,
it's a great Joker. This is a great Joker.
Yeah. We need a statue of this shit.
This is great. This is fantastic. Like, I'm telling you, this book's ahead of its time, man. This is still this is still top-notch Joker. And this is it's so surreal that it's actually tricky to cover and go through. You have to like hone in on what's going on because and read again because it's just so.
Yeah, you definitely have to read this a few times.
And I think this art style and the way the subject matter is handled ties into what we were talking about at the beginning, how it doesn't get that recognition amongst typical comic readers, but when you do go into things like editorial pieces that are examining like the top 25 Batman stories of all time, it's always like a top 5. But if you ask the average person in a comic shop for their top 5, not many of them are listing this in there.
Well, this is hopefully will shed some light on this great book. And we cut forward to Amadeus' story, and he's going on about Michael the Archangel and the great dragon, the serpent dragon.
That becomes a theme later in the story too.
His wife starts to get plagued by nightmares as well, and he blames it on Lewis Carroll, author of the Through the Looking Glass.
And he finds a Joker card on the ground.
Well, I think, or are we just cutting over to current day, or is that
No,
it's on there, and he says
he finds it there, and he thinks one of the workers must have dropped it.
That's insane, right? That's like such or it could even tie into, maybe the Joker has been around forever. Mother Pearl.
She's given him a word.
A word, and he responds.
Yeah, the word association.
Right.
Yeah.
Mother Pearl. Handle, revolver, gun, father, death, end, stop. So yeah, he's delving.
What did you guys think of his memory of that moment where it shows his? I can't tell if it's his mom or dad kind of being cruel to him, being kind of you're such a baby. It's just a movie, You guys think that's his actual interpretation of what happened, or do you think that
it's like a
he just
tale.
He's twisted the nightmare in his head to make it the worst case scenario of his last memory of them? It's a
that's how I kind of took it.
I think it's definitely warped for sure.
It is warped.
And once again, like we've talked about before, they always go back to the origin. They always sneak it in somewhere.
His final memory with them capped off with them saying, if you don't act like an adult, we're going to leave you here. Leave you here. Leave you. And then they leave him because they're dead.
Did we pass the page where Amadeus is consulting doctors in Europe about what he was doing?
I think we got a little ahead, but go back to that because that was a topic I wanted to talk on too.
That was a nice, I don't know if it's a sunrise or a sunset that he did as well. That I forgot what artist did sunsets like that.
Well, he even says, I'm introduced to the so-called wickedest man on earth, Aleister Crowley, who was a very noted occultist and Satanist, and
Aleister Crowley is the devil. Bobby Boucher, you put that book down, Bobby Boucher.
Mr. Crowley, the song by Black Sabbath, Jimmy Page was obsessed with all that shit.
Mr. Crowley.
I was waiting on it. There you go.
So sick. Such a sick ass fucking song.
We also missed the one panel after the flashback to the movie where Bruce puts the shard of glass through his hand.
Oh fuck!
We haven't even got into that chase
yet. Where are we? You got this.
We're lost in the asylum.
We
guys.
really are lost in the asylum. This book is...
I had left off on the page after where you were talking about the sunrise. So we're just coming to the
I'm way behind.
I was.
We're way behind, Robin.
Yeah. We need one of those dings to turn the page.
Right.
I'm where the Joker has the gun out.
When we change.
Okay, wait. So who's at the knife through the hand?
That is me. It's right after the movie scene.
Damn, how ahead did you guys jump?
You guys did like a whole time jump.
Yeah, you guys really
I flipped to get there. There is a moment where there's two moments. So there's two moments of the origin, and I think we skipped everything in between the two. So there's the first flashback of the origin with the word association. Directly after that, he's talking about Carl Jung, Aleister Crowley. Then there's the clownfish. So who's at the clownfish?
Right. That's where we're at.
Okay. All right. Jesus fucking Christ. You're like 6 pages ahead.
He's on a...
No, the version that I'm looking at jumps right into that scene after the movie theater, like 2 pages after.
What?
So maybe...
Fuck? You got a different version.
I'm looking at the 25th. I'm looking at the 25th anniversary.
Whoa.
Yeah, so right after where it says Zorro, Bruce punches through that glass, and then he does it.
No,
Interesting.
Surely they didn't edit it after he does the word association. Anyways.
Yeah.
It's interesting.
Well,
All right, we're
Teases,
back,
I'm gonna
we're
have to ask you to stop. I'm gonna have to ask you to stop ripping out pages of your comics and defacing them, please. I don't know what your problem is, but this is art, sir.
Anyways, back to the story. Joker pretty much, you know,
hair flip. Anyways,
yeah, he pretty much, you know, says, "You're here. I'm gonna start killing these employees if you don't play this game of hide and seek with me."
Yeah.
You know.
Yeah, he has the gun to the cop's head.
so brutal.
Mm.
And Batman's not gonna play, but then he, you know, kills the security guard.
Yeah, brutal.
Now this, in my copy, this is where, after the page after that, we're now getting to the outside shot of the movie theater.
Yeah.
Wow.
Damn, you got 25th anniversary is fucking shit up over here.
Yeah. For sure, man.
Those two pages though of Joker, I don't know if it's the green of his hair, but man, these 2 pages are so sick of that back and forth and leading up until, and then even the pages of the flashback too. Man, who has this art? Who has this original art?
That's what I was starting to think. I like how the lettering becomes even more part of the story, you know, as Joker speaks, because, you know, certain letters are capitalized. Like he's like, get it now, Batman. You know, he emphasizes certain letters to emphasize how Joker's talking.
Same, man, ahead of its time, man. I like the point when he's like, he stabbed himself in the hand, and then they zoom in on his teeth, and he almost looks like the Joker. And then he's like, then it just says "mommy" with a question mark. Like, it's just
okay. And that's
shit going on.
That page where he's stabbing himself through the hand. I've always been interested in why he did that. I mean, there's part,
or if
saying that it's just kind of a reaction to the memory he's going through, and he's subconsciously just kind of doing it to, you know, drown out the mental anguish and fear. But then I started looking at it going, is he doing that? You know, that scene where he's stabbing himself through the hand, I've always wondered why he's doing that. I mean, is he doing it just out of anguish? He's in the moment of, you know, reliving that moment? Or is he doing it, you know, because he's in Arkham Asylum and he knows he's playing this game and he needs to leave a trail to follow to find his way back sometime.
Yeah, that's a good idea too. I was never even sure if he was actually doing it or if it was a hallucination.
The knife or the glass through the hand?
Yeah.
Yeah, man.
Yeah, remember at this point there's you know, the mumbo jumbo about what the doctor said, the powerful psychological haunting forces that are in the walls. So yeah, like, is he really experiencing it, or is he having like some fucked up hallucination because of like what's haunting the house?
Is the house haunting him? I mean,
yeah.
Batman takes a beating in this book.
Dude,
Oh, he does.
Yeah. Next page, they show a picture of that panel is Arkham, right? It says, "Mother, oh God, Mother, blood, blood." Is that supposed to be Arkham? There's like a flash. There's a panel where it's "Mother, oh God, Mother." Is it Bruce, or is it like Arkham flashing over his face?
I think it's actually Jim Carrey as Fire Marshal Bill.
It's funny, but
Let me show
to
you
me, I swear to God, that looks like, what's his name? The dude that Zac Efron just played in the movie. The handsome guy that killed all the girls.
Ted Bundy?
That's fucking Ted Bundy right there to me.
Yeah, I see that, definitely.
He looks like the guy from Psycho, too.
Yeah, oh, fuck, you're right.
Yeah.
Probably more that than Ted Bundy.
Yeah.
Which is way more fitting, to be honest.
Yeah.
What's his name from Psycho?
Norman Bates.
Norman Bates. There, oh, dude, you fucking solved it. Mother, oh God, Mother. That is fucking Norman Bates from Psycho. Because he says, "Mother, oh God, Mother, blood,
Oh, shit.
blood." He says that in Psycho. Holy fuck, Jesus. God
So
damn.
that guy's watching that show. Okay, got it. Makes sense.
I just wanted to jump in also, like, when Bruce puts the shard of glass through his hand, that's kind of, to me, I thought that was kind of like a nod to what Hawkins was saying, where Hawkins likes to cut himself to kind of like connect himself with his pain. So this is kind of like a quick montage of Bruce connecting himself with the pain of him seeing that flashback with his parents. So whether it happened or not, it's going on in his head. And by him kind of piercing himself in the hand, he's kind of like trying to relive that moment and kind of just have it done with, you know?
Okay, stop showing off.
His blood turns into pearls.
These new guys, what the fuck?
The blood splatter turns into pearls.
Yeah, that's very cool.
It's fucking crazy, dude.
But I think that's the beauty of this story. There's so many layers to it that literally any interpretation makes sense, but then it doesn't make sense, you know, because that's how he's writing. That's how he's writing this book.
It's like you're peeling back the layers of like just one by one the layers. You're peeling back the layers of the one by one the layers. You're peeling them back to expose the inside.
And then I like how Harvey's
the corn on the cob.
Elote.
I like how Harvey's looking up at the moon and says it's a big silver dollar flipped by God, and it landed scarred side up. That's fucking great.
Yeah,
that's dope.
Yeah, it's a twisted way to look at the world. Yeah, it landed scarred side up, so he created the world.
And the guy passed him by. It's like, you're all insane. Joker was bored, and then it's because Bats already started to go through the gauntlet. So Joker's saying, "All right, let's pretend it's an hour already and go." So we cut back.
I love that. He's like, "Let's just pretend it's been an hour."
Oh, is this when Amadeus comes home and he discovers that his wife's head's been cut off? And his daughter's killed too. So Hawkins killed his wife and daughter, and then you hear the cuckoo clock going off. Cuckoo.
And that's it's so twisted when he says that like he sees his daughter's body. She lies nearby, indescribably violated. Almost idly, I wonder where her head is. And I look at the dollhouse, and the dollhouse looks at me. And you see her head in the dollhouse.
I mean, this shit is crazy, man. This is like
Some dark shit.
They were pushing the. Well, think about this Dark Knight Returns.
89, you said?
And kill. Yeah, it was the perfect storm. Dark Knight.
No
Returns,
wonder I'm so fucked
Joker.
up after reading these stories at a young age, man.
Yeah, because a combination of that and the nudie mags, Jesus.
If you look
at the same time,
Black Label still hasn't done anything that like touches this. It's like this is just insane.
Well, Batman's cock. But anyways, if you go back, a couple pages to when he first sees his wife, like you see how the water is, or her hair is cascading down, and he's like stepping through the doorway, and the doorway is almost like a rainbow color.
Mm-hmm.
And if you see the way her hair trickles down, it's music notes.
Yes, it's like the treble and bass clef.
Fucking sick. Damn, dude.
Yeah, lots of surrealism.
You know what
Grumps be like, it's like a 3.5.
I always wondered, did Mad Dog really kill them?
I
Or
was
did
thinking
he
you said
kill
it.
them?
I was thinking it. You said it.
And that plays out later. But I've always wondered that. You know?
Yeah, then he starts losing his mind even more. And we cut back to when Bats is in the hallway in this
Let's go back to this point where
tunnel. This is like the creepiest part of the book.
Okay.
I didn't realize it. I mean, I always forget what the main plot points in this story until I reread it like every couple of years. That's Clayface.
Yeah. No, let's go back to where he finds the mother and daughter, because he gets in his mom's wedding dress and he starts mourning, which takes us back to the Psycho reference. But then he talks about, vomiting. Later I find myself sobbing, choking, and vomiting. And if you read the script, Morrison talks about how in certain cultures, people will eat their family after they die to keep a part of themselves, always with them. And that's why he was throwing up, and they didn't say it directly in the book because they couldn't, but that was referenced in the script.
Yeah. Well, he says that they're in pieces, right? Or his daughter's in pieces. or his wife's in pieces. So you pick up one of them little nuggets, the little juicy little nuggets, and just kind of sling them, slap it down your throat.
And I don't know, I don't know if that links, if what you were talking about from the script links to anything, but this one page here, after we see him sitting in front of the window, the next page, if you look down at the bottom, it says I think says after Fritz Skolder, who was a Native American artist that was born in like the 30s.
Oh, nice. Damn.
I wonder what that piece significance is. Anybody has the idea? Please email us at BadForceRadio.
Yeah, that Clayface scene is.
I have a quick question. Just throw out there, like, why do you guys think he quickly reverted to putting on his mother's dress? Like,
because it's part of what's. Because it also I don't want to give too much away. We're fucking going around.
That's true.
He's also talking about is it him or Batman eventually talks about the dragon? There's a significance of becoming the dragon, or the slaying the dragon, right?
Yeah, he did mention that
almost as if he's becoming. Yeah, he's becoming like he's almost transforming.
Didn't
Arkham,
you see Silence of the Lambs?
I did.
Basically.
Yeah, bro.
No, but I don't know.
Dragon. Well, that's the one before.
It's where he feels safe, but also he is, in that transformation process, like what they're talking about.
Right, because like he also, he puts on this white dress, and then there's that early reference to like the clownfish changing sexes and like roles and responsibilities. So I feel like that kind of foreshadows what he's doing now. Like putting on his mother's. It's taking him to a safe place, but obviously he's drenched in blood at the same time. So I was just kind of curious what you guys thought about that, because I was just a little unclear of why he thought that was the best option, just to wear his mom's dress.
It is a good question. Do you have the version that has the script?
Yes.
Oh my God! Have you read that?
I did not.
Oh my God!
I will.
Because I only read this about once every 34 years. Reading, picking up this deluxe edition that I have with the script. I mean, it really explains a lot that I didn't fully understand the first time I read this, years ago. And it just shows you how Morrison wrote this story on a whole different level than other people.
Oh, on a psychedelic trip.
Fuck yeah.
Likely.
I mean, that just proves why after 31 years, it still holds up,
There is a part in this, I don't think we got to it yet, but there's a part in the book where we're getting Amadeus's...
That's like that rookie shit where you take one, you don't feel nothing, you take another, you still don't feel anything, you take it again.
Or you just Joey Diaz level.
Oh, it's fucking Friday, dog. Just swallow, take a ride.
Cocksucker.
Yeah, that's the creepiest Clayface I've ever seen.
Dude, that's like Clayface on keto.
He's saying his skin is sick, it's rotting and seeping, and he's trying to touch him. He's trying to touch Batman to share his sickness.
Get the fuck off me, Clayface, you little fucking cherub grub weirdo.
This is the first appearance of Clayface ass.
Clay ass.
Batman kicks his leg off and shit.
Oh, yeah.
And then we get Dr. Destiny rolling up in his wheelchair. Treats him very inappropriately, just kicks him down the stairs.
Yeah, just kicks him down the stairs.
I laughed at that scene. That was hilarious.
Dr. Destiny has a cool link to the fact that Dave McKean does the art in this, because he did the art for all of the Sandman issues, and Dr. Destiny does have ties to the Sandman universe. One of his abilities is to manipulate dreams, and he can manipulate other people's dreams, and I think he can also materialize things from dreams. And those abilities come from an artifact that he has that was passed down from his mother, called the Materiopticon. And that was something that she stole from this guy whose mistress she used to be. He had stolen it from Dream of the Endless. So Morpheus from Sandman.
I like how you just see the Scarecrow in the dark just dragging his pitchfork. Can you hear that when you're looking at those panels?
Yeah, nails on a chalkboard.
Yeah,
Now,
just doesn't even say a word. I love it.
There's been like 2 different horror movies that have stolen that image.
Yeah, I know what you mean. I forgot which ones, but
So he really doesn't mess with Scarecrow much. Is he hiding from him? Do you think Scarecrow sees him and just wants to not fuck with Batman, or what? What do you think's going on there?
Yeah, that's kind of like, it looks like he's like he comes across a part of the asylum where he just sees Scarecrow just like creaking across the floor, and he looks over behind his shoulder, and Scarecrow keeps moving, so he just kind of keeps moving. It's scary as fuck, dude.
Yeah.
Like Freddy Krueger is walking by, and like you look at him, he looks at you, and you realize like he's not really interested in you, so you kind of just let him go. Like, all right, not tonight.
He's like, I don't have time for this shit. I gotta go.
Yeah.
It's like,
then we see
And
the
then
Mad Hatter, but I
Yeah,
feel like this might be a hallucination.
Well, because
But
Mad
this-
Hatter's puffing on that magic dragon, bro.
And this is
and you
the most disturbing version of the Mad Hatter, because he makes some references that pretty clearly make it pretty clear that what his intentions with children are. That he's a pedophile.
I think teases your 25th anniversary version has actually Jared from Subway in these panels.
Oh,
shit,
shit.
Holding on to his $5 footlong.
Oh God!
Oh my God!
That's why I love the children. Yeah, it's pretty disturbing.
Yeah,
And it's interesting. Hatter makes a reference. He says that Arkham is a looking glass.
Yeah.
And that's it sort of there was a book that came out in 2012, a Batman,
Sam Keith,
Mad Hatter, the Bruce Jones and Sam Keith through the Looking Glass story.
Yeah, that's
very interesting.
And that's actually a story of their first meeting. Sorry, Gramps, go ahead.
He basically says that Batman helped create everyone that's in the asylum.
Yeah.
On another little reference to later.
Yeah.
Oh shit!
God damn this book, man.
Then we go flashback to when Amadeus is treating Martin Hawkins, just so he could strap him to an electroshock couch, and as he puts it, burn the filthy bastard. So that was really he pretty much fried him.
And that's another part where these accounts from Amadeus really tie to the story, the background story that you get in the Arkham Asylum game. If you find enough of those Chronicles of Arkham things, and listen to those recordings, you get far enough in the story where you hear him telling the story of where he eventually started killing the inmates and decided that was his job. The filth would be brought to the asylum, and he was going to take care of them.
Hey, no spoilers. I'm only on 43% on that game.
I thought you were on 43% of Arkham City now.
No, I got up to like 72.
Oh, Max.
Oh, so you didn't. So you jumped to City before you finished Asylum.
Pretty much.
Gotcha. Cool.
Mr. Penta, like PlayStation product. Right?
And that's one thing. You'll only get the full story of Amadeus in that game. You don't automatically get the whole story just by finishing the game. You have to actually hunt down all of those chronicles. It's like collecting Riddler trophies. You just have to. It's a separate thing.
Oh God.
And Amadeus then goes to his secret room where he tapes over the mirror so the laughter ceases. I thought that was really intense. Like if he sees himself, then he just hears laughter in his head, and he's starting to feel like the house is becoming alive, or like an organism that is hungry for madness and whatnot. So this guy is just like breaking down, man, after all he's been through.
This is Maxi Zeus.
Maxi Zeus.
What is that on the left side of that page? What does that say right there?
Oh, what does it say?
No, what is that?
Yeah.
Says it looks like 10 eaten or something like that.
I don't know.
It's the Omega symbol.
Yeah, you would have to
It almost says Keaton.
translate the Greek alphabet.
Mm.
Because those, his
looks like Keaton,
his whole Greek. But this is the coolest take on Maxi Zeus.
You know, when I first looked at it,
he's such a lame character.
Yeah, he's a joke most of the time.
I thought it was like he had Mr. Freeze vibes going on in this.
That's what I thought at first. Yeah. You know, Robin, it's funny you mentioned that about the Greek alphabet. I'd love to, but I'm really not interested about learning anything about any other cultures or anything like that. So I think I'm just gonna.
And your fraternity time is long over.
Yeah.
So Maxi Zeus is strapped into like the electric therapy.
Yeah.
Part man, part woman. Electricity inflames my brain. Voltage, current. Yeah, he's. I almost feel like they're trying to portray him as some
god.
Yeah, some god or symbol or religious symbol or whatever it may be. But
Dr. Manhattan.
I definitely like the blue he uses in this. It doesn't.
I like when he says the AC/DC altar awaits. That's right.
That's
Hell's bells.
Are we in flashback mode again?
I could give you power.
Yeah, this is where we get to Amadeus is taking his mushroom trip.
Yeah.
Oh, fuck yeah.
I think Morrison definitely wanted to hit that one up. But...
And do you see that bat up in the, the skeleton bat that's up in the top of that page?
Yeah.
That's the same one that's kind of at the beginning of the book.
Yeah, it's the cover art for some of the printings of this book too.
How do you pronounce it? Icarnocturus? Whatever. I looked that up. That's that was a very ancient, it's now extinct, but very large species of bat, early primitive bat that was pretty big back in the day.
It took my dumbass way too long to find that.
Yeah, it's a foreshadow to things that
I just got the clownfish thing. I'm so fucking dumb. How he talks about the clownfish changing sex and adjusting, like transforming and changing sex.
Yeah.
I'm so fucking stupid.
And then this confrontation with Killer Croc is so badass. Like the dragon.
And
Crazy.
Yeah, and so many things tie in together here where we have Arkham on mushrooms talking about describing himself as going into the Dark Tower and facing the dragon within, and we're seeing that as Batman is encountering Croc and having his time to face the dragon within.
And also the statue of, was it the Archangel Michael stepping on the dragon?
Yeah. And then after he gets thrown out the window, he pulls the spear from the statue and uses that, it's like Michael fought the dragon. That's when the devil was cast out of heaven and cast down to earth. So we have Batman taking the spear from the statue of Michael, impaling Croc, and then he gets impaled himself by the handle of it, and then casts him out through the window.
Yeah, I love how he throws him out of the window.
And do you notice that the lightning's always behind him, like a certain famous iconic cover?
Little do. Play that Graham sample. Gotta give a little do.
Daffy Duck comics?
Hey, Looney Tunes back on HBO Max, by the way. New Looney Tunes.
The OGs?
No, new series.
Oh, I don't know about it. Have you watched it?
Right?
Like
I don't know. I think, right? Tease it?
I haven't subscribed to HBO Max yet.
Oh, what the fuck? Snyder Cut, boy.
I'm waiting for that Snyder Cut. Everybody's going to get it when Snyder Cut comes.
Oh, yeah. I mean, we have, another year and a half?
But,
everybody wants the Snyder Cut of HBO Max.
The ADD is strong tonight.
The AC/DC is strong tonight.
To bring it back to the fucking story, man.
Yeah, so Bats gets thrown out of the window.
Real quick. Something. So, I mean, you got to highlight the significant detailed description of the psychedelic trip that Arkham is experiencing, because obviously Morrison has gone on one of those before. But what was crazy is there's a video of one of the Beatles. I want to say that it's George Harrison talking about what it's like to take acid. And the way that Morrison describes this is exactly what George Harrison was describing when he was on acid, feeling like he was starting to lose control. Like the trip smacks you like out of nowhere, and you're trying to grab a hold of something, but there's nothing to grab a hold of, and you realize that like you're flying through fucking space in the universe, and it's so chaotic and scary that you feel every sensation and every nerve through your neck. And this is what he actually said. George Harrison said that it makes you want to take a razor blade and slit your throat so you can't feel those neurons anymore, or you can't feel the nerves anymore. And it's like, Jesus fucking Christ, I'm never going to do that. And
can we do that for the next episode?
But the way he describes the psychedelic trip is the scariest fucking thing. And then what's so beautiful is as he's talking about that, as he's talking about finally getting a grasp on your reality, that's when Bats grabs the fucking spear from Michael. And that's when he finally gets tangible and he grabs himself back a hold into his reality and is able to use it. Just fucking, this is like a fuck. You know what this is like, Gramps? It's like you order the 2-piece plate at a barbecue, you accidentally get the 6-item combo, and you're just constantly getting all these items that you didn't even expect, and it's delicious.
Yeah, it's like kind of like when you ask for one side of banana pudding, but they mishear you and they give you 2.
What the fuck is going on tonight?
The books just got us all messed up.
We're all in the asylum tonight, man.
The inmates are running the asylum.
That's for sure. But yeah, I love when Croc throws his ass out of the window, and then you just see Croc walking down this hallway or whatever against the window, and then Batch just drops in from the top, and they start going at it, and
he's not playing. He's not like
Bats
trying to wound him.
He gets that spear through him, and then at one point, Batch just looks like the devil because he has like blood in his mouth, and his mask looks like it's become one with his flesh tone, and it's just like the man
comes in there with the spear and hits him with the bonsai.
And he's pretty much slaying the dragon.
Well, he makes a mistake though, because the way he's holding that spear and the weight of Croc, it forces it back into Batman himself, so he really impales himself too.
Yep.
Yeah, ouch. And then you see Croc fall back and go through the window again, actually.
And in the script, as you read Morrison describe how to tell McKean how to draw this, he really specifically told him how to draw the figure of Croc falling, especially with his arms out, almost like I think he described it as like kind of like a crucifix appearance.
Mm-hmm.
Oh shit.
Yeah.
Oh. And then you can see it. Dr. Cavendish has taken somebody hostage. Is that Pearl maybe? Yeah. And then he was talking about how he's stumbled upon Amadeus's journal, and he said to read it. Even he's marked a place for Batman to read. And then all of a sudden things become a little more clear in terms of a bat, as if it was this epiphany or prophecy that has something to do with a bat. And maybe the shrooms were hitting pretty hard. I don't know how do you guys take it?
This part of the end of that story, like, you know, this guy believing that it was his destiny to take up where Amadeus left off, that is the same way that the Arkham story ends in the Arkham Asylum game with, you know, I won't reveal, I won't spoil it for Gramps, but the person who you've been reading these messages, who you've been hearing these recordings from, each time you find one of these chronicles, they finally reveal at the end that they had read the journals of Amadeus and believed that it was their responsibility to continue his work.
Mm.
There we go. is my ringtone on my phone every time I get a text.
Is that before the Joker comes on the loudspeaker?
Yeah, every time he comes on.
And this dude dressed up in the white wedding dress to do all these, to confront Batman here at the very end, like, Amadeus dressed when he went nuts.
And then he's talking about how, was it Amadeus who scratched a binding spell into the floor of his cell with his fingernails?
So scary.
Yeah. And that's where the salt comes in, too.
Yeah, that's why Batman had found that salt when he was arriving, because Cavendish was using the salt to trap the bat in the asylum.
Yeah, it took Amadeus years to scratch all that binding spell into Arkham.
And are we already past the part, or is it still coming up where, yeah, I think it's still coming up where we find out what actually happened to Amadeus's mother.
She got eaten.
That other employee or doctor, whatever she is, slices the throat of Cavendish, is it?
Well, Cavendish kicks Batman's ass. That's
What
crazy
was up with
about
that?
this. Well,
Yeah,
I guess because he was weak. That's how I justify it. He was.
Yeah.
He
had glass through his hand.
Shrooms.
Yeah, he had glass through his hand, got thrown through a window, and then got impaled while he was taking out Croc.
Plus, he was huffing the fumes of whatever Mad Hatter was smoking.
True.
Yeah, there you go. True. It's high as fuck.
What are you fucking high?
Yeah, that's
I
going to
like how he
cost some
says
points.
Mommy's boy. He calls Batman a mommy's boy.
Fuck.
You're
That
the
was
one
like
on the nose, dude.
That's like insult to injury right there.
Yeah, I know. What about so back to the mom real quick? She slices her own throat open, right?
Well, but what we find out about Amadeus was that he had blocked out the memory, but he had actually cut his mom's throat
to save her. He did it to save her.
Yeah, so she wouldn't be suffering anymore.
And so, dude, oh god, what was it? It's from that. I don't know how true it is for like, or where if they made this shit up. But did you ever watch the remake of the Amityville Horror? There is a scene where they're explaining like where the spirit that haunts the house comes from, is from this fucked up reverend who slit his own throat in the basement of the house so that his spirit will live on forever. Because I guess that's how you fucking let you by slicing your own throat open and spilling the blood everywhere.
That's
so
how I
it's
do.
like. So slicing him slicing his mother's throat fucking splatters the blood everywhere and just fucking like leaves that aggro mom killing aggression in there.
So they're about to leave the asylum, and Batman takes the coin that they were using for Two-Face, Two-Face's original coin, and somehow he finds a fucking battle axe. And he starts chomping away at these, what is that, circuitry in the asylum or wires? And at one point, Bats just looks totally fucking Gladiator with that axe. And he breaks through, I guess, where the Joker is. He gives Harvey the coin and says, "You're all free."
I like how Joker's in high heels there.
Oh, shit.
Yeah, he was in the beginning, because after Harvey makes the mess on the floor, Joker asks him if he's trying to ruin his heels.
I mean, why not? But yeah, Batman goes back in because, this whole message about this was Batman really is at home in the asylum. Should he be in there with the other inmates too? So he goes back in there and, lets Harvey, test destiny about whether he should live or die.
So Joker agrees to go along with it, but it's interesting because Harvey flips the coin and says if it lands on the scarred side, he dies. If it lands on the good side, we let him leave. And he flips the coin and says that, he gets to leave. But then after he does walk out, we cut back to Harvey standing there looking down at the coin, and it's actually the scarred side up. So he had just decided to go against the coin and let Batman live.
Do you think it's because Batman did him a favor by giving him his coin back that it gives him his identity back?
Maybe.
Yeah.
And the last part is he's looking at the deck of cards, the pack of cards, and says, "You're nothing but a pack of cards." And then he says, "Who cares for you?" and just knocks him over.
Holy fuck, dude! Do you guys get the significance of the last panel of the cards? The last image, the very last card.
Osiris and whatever the bat thing is.
It's so in Egyptian culture, there is and this is also like, okay, so in Egyptian culture, it's believed that when you die, the Osiris or whatever points up to the sky to a specific constellation that when you die, your soul takes that journey up into the constellation, and it travels along the Milky Way to a specific set of stars, and that's where the gods will judge you in the afterlife for the life that you've lived. And that is also like people who have taken like psychedelic trips have said that is what they experience when they go on a psychedelic trip. So it's fucking crazy that Morrison is throwing that in there at the very end of this trip that Batman just took through the insane asylum.
And that's what I'm saying. Like, you really have to pay attention to the artwork in this book because it is there for a purpose. It's not just there to look pretty.
Wow.
It tells a story inside itself more than just what the script says.
It's definitely a puzzle piece, you know?
Oh,
yeah.
I'm only thinking of like, what have we completely still missed?
Oh, tons.
I also like at the end where Batman leaves, and then Joker's like, "Enjoy yourself out there in the asylum."
Yeah. That's great. Like, that's perfect.
And they're just like walking out like nothing happened.
Yeah.
Yeah, he's kind of like, "Hey, thanks for swinging by," but to him, this is so normal, and the real world is crazy to him. And I also like in the beginning when they psychoanalyze Joker and they say he doesn't even fall in the spectrum of being psychotic. He's
sane.
He's super sane. He's so advanced that he can, and he's light years ahead of everyone else, and that's how advanced he is. So
he contorts and molds to. Yeah.
So that's what that Dr. Ruth said in the beginning.
He called her Dr. Ruth.
Yeah, Dr. Ruth.
She even said that. She says that the Joker seems to have no control over sensory information he's receiving from the outside world. He reinvents himself almost daily, and she says it's quite possible we may actually be looking at some kind of super sanity here, a brilliant new modification of human perception, more suited to urban life at the end of the 20th century. Isn't that today?
Yeah.
And what's going on today? People's going fucking nuts.
And that's why the asylum is every day to him. It's business as usual. It's like he doesn't flinch because it's normal to him. The real world is the real insanity for him. Blim.
Man, that was a doozy.
It was all right, man.
Oh shit, we got the grump in here too.
We got grump.
I'm messing with my Nintendo thing.
Oh, hey, the grump.
Damn, Grumps.
Dan, the grump,
I
man.
couldn't find the book.
Dan, Grump's phoning it in, man. Fuck.
Walking in with the backpack, like all with crumpled papers in it.
Yeah,
My dog,
shit falling out everywhere.
The fuck you want, man? I had a flood, man.
Oh, God.
Dude, Grumps was at a protest, man. Don't worry.
Hey, Grumps, R.I.P. to those 3 long boxes, man.
Damn.
Jeez.
Damn.
Or may we have a moment of silence real quick.
Yeah.
The Grump. So, Arkham Asylum. All right. We'll do out of 5. We'll start with Gramps. Out of 5 satisfaction rings. What do you give?
Man, I mean, like I said, this was one of the first books that I ever read of Batman as a young reader, and it really set an impression for me. Even though at the time I didn't really know what I was reading, now, especially with you guys, talking about it and reviewing, I mean, this book stands out by itself as something that, I could read it again in another 34 years and find something new about it. And it is definitely a 5 out of 5 for me.
Damn.
I mean, just the artwork, the complexity.
Damn, the Gramps seal of approval.
Yeah, this is getting that absolute version, and I don't have too many of those, but I got to have this one.
Damn.
Rated perfect score. That's what's a hell of a way to start. What about you, TZ? You believing?
Whew. Yeah, this story is a trip. I'm gonna give it a 4.9. It's just shy of perfect. The artwork is ahead of its time, and it holds up to now after 31 years. But I think it's still ahead of its time now, and I loved it, and I'm gonna read it again. But to be honest, I like the cross parallels from Amadeus' story to Bruce's, but Morrison likes to jump around.
Dan, 4 out of 4.9 for TZ.
Yeah,
very nice, man. Believe.
Yeah, the artwork's incredible. Can't beat it.
Believe. What about you, Tom?
I gotta think back to what did I give Snyder and Capullo? I think I gave him like a 4.2, 4.3. I want to say. I gave him a 4 something. This for me is like. I'm going to give it a graphic novel score and not just like a comic like arc, because this is an all-encompassing graphic novel one shot, right? So, man, it's hard to say this is not like it's got everything I want. It's also got like the reread potential, the reread quality. This is probably like the 6th or 7th time I've read through this book. Read it every couple of years just to kind of, not usually just flipping through it, admiring the art, but first time in a long time where we actually sat down and like dissected it. And like I said, there's still shit that we're missing, man. So the reread quality of this book is just too big to give it less than like a 4. So, and I got to give it more than Court of Owls. So I'm like with teases. I got to say I'm going to say 4.97.
Oh.
This might be the highest rated.
From now on, this will be the standard that I hold like everything to, I think.
Wow.
Well, it's almost like, okay, you got these guys and are like, oh yeah, I like comics, I like this, I like that, and oh yeah, you like Arkham Asylum, Serious House on Serious Earth.
Oh,
that's a test.
Shit.
If they've read that and they get it,
right?
Okay, cool. And, yeah,
like you're right. This is something that you can give to like someone who's like a fucking anthropology major or like a history major or like an art major, and they're gonna find all these little references that you might even miss, and they're gonna come back. Yeah. You can give this to like a fucking an acid head, like a. You can give this to like a '60s like flower child, and they'd be like, "Man, I've been reading this book since before I knew it existed."
Yeah, it's a trip. There's a book out as well. I forgot what it's called. I think it's by Sam Keith. It's another Arkham Asylum book.
Madness?
What's it? Is it called Madness? Yeah, it's awesome because it makes you feel like you're spending a night in Arkham because they keep showing the clock until it hits like the next morning, and it's really effective in that way. And I think he definitely took, he I almost feel like he wanted to continue the tradition or tone that came from Arkham Asylum, and it was cool because he actually incorporated Harley in there. And there's a part where she's sitting with the therapist, and she was like, don't be so on your high horse or whatever. I used to be in your position not too long ago, whatever. And she's like smoking a cigarette, and it was just so raw and effective. Like he really understood the characters. So
yeah,
that's
we should cover that. That's Arkham Asylum Madness that came out in I think like that's like 10 years old now.
Yeah, Sam Keith. We should actually cover that now that we're on this kick. It was a good one, but what about you, Rob? What do you give it?
Well, on the scale that everybody's on with it right now, I'm I got to go with like a 4.8, and it's only because it's jarring to see Batman getting punked by the Joker in the beginning, like when he's slapping his ass and Batman's just seems almost afraid. Now, Grant did say that this story, this version, the way he wrote everyone here, the characterization of everyone was only contained to this story in this universe. If you read everything else that Grant wrote, his Batman run, his Batman and Robin run, Batman Incorporated, it's all much more typical, like the more traditional takes on characters. But it's just a little bit jarring to see some of the differences like that, and that's the only thing that, like, well, I don't want to feel less respect for Batman. But everything else, like, really is flawless.
I get that. I get that.
Yeah, it's just weird to see him get punked by Joker, and Joker slaps Bat, and he doesn't turn around and drop him.
Yeah, but it is the Joker. I don't know. We just did Death of the Family, and you could see what Joker's capable of. I don't know.
But he wasn't slapping Batman's ass.
I think there's only one person only one person that could get away with that. That's the Joker for some reason. I just feel like those two. I don't know.
And that's where that's where that lover's card came in.
Oh shit! Gramps is gonna be reading this again tonight. I think with his magnifying glass out and his.
I've already got my reader's
pajama hat.
There you go.
What about you, Grumps? Do you remember this story? Could you give it a rating?
Nah, I gotta abstain. I haven't read it in 30-something years probably. So.
Damn.
I don't want to give out.
This is your.
What are you, new?
This is his boy too, Morrison. Damn.
I couldn't find the book. I honestly don't know what happened to it. It's not on the shelf.
It was in the flood, man. Shit. The flood got it. Okay.
It's got to be better than anything I've read recently. So.
Yeah, this thing is ahead of its time. Yeah. I'll give it like 4.82234 4.8 because 1 point I didn't like Batman getting choked out by Cavendish, whatever the fuck his name is. That was like, I know he was like on hallucinogens and he got stabbed and all this crazy shit, but still, and I wish Freeze was in it. I know it's a silly thing, but Morrison had everyone who really belongs in Arkham in this book, like Clayface and Scarecrow and Two-Face and Joker. He had all in Mad Hatter, like he had all the people, the prime candidates for the asylum in there. And a little piece of me just wishes that we had Freeze. But then again, this was before Freeze started blowing up, because the truth is Dini blew Freeze up. Yeah. He's the one who put Freeze on the map. So yeah.
If you're gonna buy this, buy like at least the 25th anniversary edition that has the script in it, or the Absolute, because the script by Morrison has such insight and such little, clues and explanations for it. It's really, I mean, I could just sit here and read the script by itself.
Yeah.
It's so fun to flip
drawings in there?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it has some drawings, has some new art. The Absolute is, it has this really cool thing in the Absolute. It's a piece of artwork of the Joker, and it was an illustration created for a charity auction held during 1988 at the UK Comic Art Convention in London. So that's a pretty nice piece that the Absolute comes with. I'm not sure if the other ones come with it. It may probably, but
yeah, mine does.
Yeah, this thing was ahead of its time, man. I think it still is. I remember when this thing came out, and it was like, it was just on another level, and it was like Arkham Asylum, a serious house and serious. It was next level shit, man. It was stuff that he evolved. This kind of storytelling evolves the Batman mythos, and just makes it more serious and interesting and psychological and it's respectable. Like, this is more than comic books. This is, heavy psychological stuff, and it's just, the artwork is just like art students could study this kind of stuff. So it's a gem that I feel doesn't get talked about too often these days. Everything is like,
well, that's what makes it really
Killing
cool.
Joke.
It's not played out.
Yeah. Gramps gave it a
I gave it
5
the
though,
fucking
so
5.
damn. Gramps gave it the fist, boy. So, you know, that's it. So, that's another Batman classic review in the books. Everyone, we highly, highly recommend Arkham Asylum, A Serious House on Serious Earth. If you like art, if you like surrealism, if you want to delve into the psyche of these characters, this is going to take you on a really interesting journey in the night, throughout the night. And it stays with you too. It actually makes you want to go back and read it again. That's a sign of a good book, is the fact that you want to go back and read it again. All right, tell us what you think on social media. What you think when you read Arkham Asylum, Serious House, Serious Earth. Bad Force Radio, iTunes, SoundCloud, Spotify, YouTube.
I'm a days.